Very good morning, students. The last video session we were discussing about the features of Indian Constitution. Constitution is a document which guides and controls the activity of government as well as people. Constitution, regarding Indian Constitution is framed by Constituent Assembly under the leadership of Dr. Rajendra Prasad, and the drafting was done by the drafting committee under the leadership of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar and Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the major leaders in framing of Indian Constitution. The last video session we discussed about features of Indian Constitution. And the features of Indian Constitution, if you remember, the first one discussed was federalism. Federalism or federation means existence of more than one level of government is called as federation. India is a federal form of government. India is an example for federation because in India we have national government or central government and regional government or the state government and the local self-government. So India is a federation. So that is what we studied, the feature, that is federal form of government. Second one what we studied is about the parliamentary form of government. The parliamentary form of government, example, India is a parliamentary form of government because in India the highest authority, let it be in state government or central government, is enjoyed by the parliament or by the legislature, which is the law making body. Third feature which we studied is, can you remember? That is separation of powers. So the separation of powers, the organs of the government is divided into three, namely legislature, executive and judiciary. So legislature, executive and judiciary are the three organs of the government, and these three organs of the government controls the activity of the government. So separation of power means division of power among the various organs of the government, namely legislature, executive and judiciary. Today let us study the fourth feature of Indian Constitution, that is fundamental rights. So what is a right? A right is a privilege. Right is a privilege given to the citizens of a country by the Constitution. So we have civil rights as well as fundamental rights. So fundamental rights are those rights which are guaranteed by the Constitution, to the citizens of the country. So fundamental rights protect citizen from arbitrary or absolute power exercised by the government. So why fundamental rights? Because fundamental rights protect citizen from arbitrary or absolute exercise of power. So fundamental rights can be withdrawn by the government only in extreme cases. Extreme cases means when the national emergency is declared, then fundamental rights can be withdrawn by the government temporarily. Otherwise, fundamental rights are exclusively given to the citizens of the country. Why? To protect from the arbitrary or absolute exercise of power. So in India at present, the fundamental rights protects the interest of minority community, because in India we have religious minority like Sikh, Christians, Jains, Buddhists, Muslims. They are all minority community because they are less in number when compared to the majority. So fundamental rights protects the minority community, and it protects the minority community from the atrocity, and it is therefore guarantees the rights to minorities against the majority. This is very important. Constitution therefore guarantees the rights of minorities against the majority. So Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said that these fundamental rights, their object are twofold. Means there are two objectives of fundamental right. What are the two objectives? The first objective is that every citizen must be in a position to claim those rights. Means every citizen should enjoy the fundamental right. This is the first objective of a fundamental right. So every citizen should enjoy the fundamental right. That is the first objective. What is the second objective? The second objective is that these rights must be binding upon every authority that has got the power to make laws. So right is a binding, it is not absolute. So when a right is guaranteed, at the same time the people should also understand that we should respect others' rights also, then only we can enjoy our rights. So fundamental rights always serve for achieving greater economic reforms. That is also a part of directive principles of state policy. Regarding directive principles of state policy, we study in the higher classes. So fundamental right mentioned in the part 3rd of Indian Constitution. Fundamental right explained in part 3rd of Indian Constitution. Directive principle policy, of course, continuation, as Article 51 Clause A. All these things you will study in the higher classes, but the very purpose of all these is to achieve greater economic and social reforms in the country, so that India can be a developed country. Now let us check the 6 fundamental rights. It's an important topic. 6 fundamental rights. So when Constitution came into practice or implemented on 26 Jan 1950, we had 7 fundamental rights. Now we have 6 fundamental rights. Right to property is no more a fundamental right today. So we have only 6 fundamental rights. Let us check the 6 fundamental rights. First one, right to equality. So what do you mean by right to equality? Don't think right to equality means all are equal in height, weight, personality, wealth, education, look. This is not right to equality. Right to equality means all persons are equal before the law. That is what right to equality means. If someone committed a mistake or a crime or corruption, he may be punished. For example, in the recent days, it's very common that top leaders, politicians, they are all behind the bars or they are in the prison because of corruption charges and all. So it is always said that all persons are equal before the law. This means that all persons shall be treated equally and protected by the law of the country. It also states that no citizen can be discriminated on the basis of religion, caste or sex. We cannot treat someone low or high on the basis of his religion or his caste or his gender, that is male or female or third gender. Every person has access to the public places including playgrounds, hotels, shops, etc. The state cannot discriminate against anyone in matters of employment, but there are expectations to this that we will read about this in the later. Okay, try to understand. According to right to equality, what is very important here, untouchability has been abolished. So the first fundamental right, that is right to equality. Second, right to freedom. This include the right to freedom of speech and expression, right to form association, right to move freely and reside any part of the country. Now don't use this fundamental right, that is right to move freely, because now Karnataka is under lockdown. So that's what I said. In extreme cases, fundamental rights can be withdrawn by the government for temporarily. So right to move freely and reside any part of the country, and right to practice any profession, occupation or business. So what is right to freedom? Right to freedom always says that we have a freedom of speech and expression. We can speak, we can express our ideas. But here also very important that whenever we speak, we should speak in a parliamentary level. Means we should not hurt someone's sentiment, or we should not provoke someone, or that is wrong. So at the same time we have the freedom to form association. That's why you can see a lot of arts and sports club, cultural club, lot of associations. We can form association. We can move freely throughout the country. Means if you are born in Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra or Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, wherever, but you can travel freely. That is what fundamental right. But unfortunately, because of corona, the every movement is now slowly withdrawn, because this is temporarily because of the pandemic. Otherwise we can move freely. At the same time we can choose any profession or occupation or business. So this is about right to freedom. What is third fundamental right? That is right against exploitation. It is always said right against exploitation. Don't, because right to religion, right to freedom, right to exploitation, it's not right to exploitation, it's right against exploitation. The Constitution prohibits human trafficking, forced labor and employment of children under 14 years of age. So according to the Constitution of India, human trafficking, selling human for immoral purpose, that is banned. Forced labor or bonded labor, it is also banned. Children below the age of 14, child labor, is banned. That is what right against exploitation. Fourth one, right to freedom of religion. This is a very important right, that in India a person is provided religious freedom. He has a right to practice, profess, propagate any religion of his choice. Means if you are born in a religion, there is no need you have to pursue that religion. You can practice, profess and propagate a religion of your choice. So right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion. That is the fourth. Let us check the fifth and sixth. Cultural and educational rights. The Constitution states that all minority, religious or linguistic can set up their own educational institutions in order to preserve and develop their own culture. So under the cultural and education right, that's the reason why you can see a Marathi school in Karnataka. Such many examples are there. So we can preserve our linguistic or the language and our culture. So cultural and education right. And the last right is very important because that is considered as the heart and soul of Indian Constitution. Right to constitutional remedies means whenever government violates the fundamental rights or whenever government denies your fundamental rights, then this right helps us to move to the court and get back our right. That is what right to constitutional remedies is very important right, because this right allows the citizens to move to the court if they believe that their fundamental rights is violated by the government. So there are 6 fundamental rights: right to equality, a right to freedom, a right against exploitation, a right to freedom of religion, cultural and education right, a right to constitutional remedies. The last feature of Indian Constitution, that is secularism. Regarding secularism, simple language I will explain that religious freedom, that means state does not officially promote any religion as the state religion. That means in India all religions are treated equal. That is what secularism. So secularism is nothing but religious freedom. Citizens of the country enjoys the right to select a religion of their choice. That is called secularism. The chapter 2 is secularism. So in that chapter we will study in detail about secularism. Okay cadets, so chapter number 1 of civics is over. Now let us check the question and answers. First one, why does democratic country need a constitution? So check the answer. A democratic country need a constitution because it lays out important guidelines that governs decision making within various societies of the country. Second, it lays down the ideals that form the basis of the kinds of the country that citizens aspire to live in. It serves as a set of rules and principles as a basis by which the country has to be governed. It provides rules to safeguard the interest of minorities and prevent any kind of domination by the majority on minority. It lays down the rules that guard against the misuse of power by any politician or political leader. It also provides the right to the citizen and protect their freedom. Second, this is a question of course. Look at the wordings of 2 documents given. The first column is 1990 Nepal's constitution. The second column from more recent interim constitution of Nepal. 1990 Constitution of Nepal, Part 7 Executive. 2007 Interim Constitution, Part 5 Executive. Article 35 Executive powers. The executive power of the Kingdom of Nepal shall be vested in His Majesty and the Council of Ministers. Executive powers of Nepal shall be vested in the Council of Ministers. Now what is the difference between these 2 constitutions? Try to understand. Here in 1990 His Majesty means King. King was enjoying the power, but here you see His Majesty is not that. That means in 2007 the power of the king is completely abolished. Only the power is given to the ministers. Check the answer. Yeah. The difference in who exercise executive power is given in the two constitution of Nepal is that in 1990 constitution this power was vested in the king and his council of ministers, while in the 2007 interim constitution executive power changed to being vested only in the council of ministers, thereby making Nepal a democracy from being a monarchy. That's a major change. Nepal needs a new constitution today because it's no longer a monarchy. Older constitution vested the power of the king, but when country is now democracy, a new constitution is needed to reflect the democratic ideals of Nepal that the people's movement desired and fought for. In order to achieve this, all its constitutive rules must be changed. Third question: what would happen if there were no restriction on the power of elected representatives? If there is no restriction on power of elected representatives, the leaders might misuse the power given to them. The constitution provides safeguard against this misuse of power by our political leaders. So that is what the question number 3. Question number 4. In each of the following situation, identify the minority. Write one reason if you think it is important to respect the view of the minority in each situation. Answer: female teachers are minority because you have seen that number is 20. Are male. The female teacher must be allowed a space to voice their opinion so that their effort at teaching is not hindered by the minority status. Buddhists are minority. Every individual has a right to follow religion, his or her choice. People of other faith must respect their religion other than their own. Non-vegetarians are in minority. Food is a choice of personal wish. She should have freedom to eat what she wants. Underprivileged are minority. Underprivileged means physically challenged. Citizen cannot be discriminated by the birth, so their views to be respected. The last one, the key features of Indian Constitution. So you have to write key features. What is the key features? Federalism. What federalism ensures? It ensures national unity and at the same time allows the individual progress. A federal government allows the central to hold supreme power, but also constituent states have power as well. Constituent. Separation of power. It serves the purpose. First, tyrannical use of power is avoided. Second, three organs of power also work as a check and balance. Fundamental rights are very important because they conform to a human society. They also protect citizens against arbitrary and absolute use of power. Parliamentary form of government. It upholds universal adult franchise and it play a direct role in electing representatives to run state as well as the nation. So cadets, with this the chapter 1 of civics is over. This chapter is very well there for the examination. So please write down. Wish you a wonderful day. Thank you.